Greetings everyone, and welcome back to Spru's. In today's video, I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to take a look at three 1/72nd scale German Panther tanks. A classic SE Panther from the 1970s, 2012 or 2010, roughly Zvezda Panther. It's designed to go together really easily. And you have a more detailed and advanced model, the Vespid Panther Ausführung G with the infrared sight. So I wanted to have a little look at all three of these kits and sort of talk about some of the differences you get between different price ranges, and also have a little look at the old SE kit and see how it stacks up to the Panther kits that we get today. So I'll also leave a little link in the description to Tectonic Hobbies where you can buy these newer kits that are available, and I'll also leave a link to my eBay account where I've been selling some of the vintage kits that I come across, and I've been talking to some older guys who are selling their stashes. So I've got a few nice old kits up there at the moment, and I'll be pretty much regularly adding to the collection there for sale. So check it out if you're interested in vintage kits. But otherwise, let's get into having a review of these kits. So as I mentioned, we'll have a look at three different Panther kits in 1/72nd scale. Up first, we'll have the Zvezda Ausführung D. So this is the earliest version of the Panther, which was introduced in 1943, just in time for the Battle of Kursk. It's a little bit weird that the D was the first model when, you know, A and B comes before D, but oh well, that's how the Germans did it. And the Zvezda kit came out in 2012. It's, like I said, pretty typical for a Zvezda kit in terms of the detail, the quality, and how it all goes together. So it's advertised as a snap fit kit, which is the idea is that you don't have to use glue to hold the parts together. I still like to glue them when I build them, but it is pretty accurate. You can pretty much attach all these parts without needing glue to have them hold together, which is pretty good. As you can see on the box, you've got a nice little bit of artwork there of some Panthers on the steppes of Russia, with one burning in the background there, and a few other tanks over there. So it's quite a nice looking thing. Pretty simple. On the side here, you've got your paint guides. So you've got one for Zvezda's own colours and also Tamiya's, which is good that you've got the options there. On the back, you've got some artwork of a prototype that's been assembled, and it's pretty accurate to what you'll get. So that's kind of an unpainted view of the tank, and then you've got a few details like the size of the model, the number of parts, and of course the scale. This box just basically opens up the side. I've already opened up the plastic bag that all the parts are in to give the kit a wash before I build it. So I'll start off by having a little look at the instructions here, and then we'll have a look at the plastic parts. In assembly, you start out with the hull, which is one piece, and then you're basically putting on all of the individual arms for the road wheels, and they'll basically click into place as it says. You've got the final drive covers assembly there, and you just basically attach that to the hull. Then you've got the road wheels. Now on these Zvezda kits, they're kind of designed to be a lot easier to assemble than other kits are, so rather than having individual road wheels, they're actually all molded as one piece, as you'll see. So you don't have to put the individual wheels on, you basically just glue these two sets of wheels together and then put them onto the arms there. You do have to still assemble the idler wheel and the sprocket at the front there, and there's also an extra little wheel there, part of the final drive, but it's not too difficult to do that. And one of Zvezda's hallmarks for their kits is they don't use rubber bands for their tracks. They actually sort of use it as a single piece that you're supposed to bend to shape, and then there's basically special holes that are designed to align it up so that you get the tracks correct. This is very fiddly in practice, whereas in theory you'd think it'd be nice and simple, but it does mean it's a little bit easier than trying to melt plastic rubber band tracks together, and it's a little bit less likely to have yucky gaps and all of that you'll get when you're gluing individual track links. So it's got its pros and its cons, but it's a relatively simple thing as long as you can get the shape right and line them up nicely without breaking them. Then you've got a set of road wheels that go on the outside, and they'll actually lock that track into position there, which is nice. You've got a lot of nice detail still though, even though it is a basic kit. So you've got all the vision splits for the driver and his assistant driver. You've got all the extra accessories, things like some pliers there, a few little boxes and planks to put down on the ground if you've got to do work, spare track links, little bit of tow ropes, the fire extinguisher, travel lock, and then a few sets of lights. A few more accessories and pioneer tools on the side. Another interesting feature you'll find in a lot of Zvezda kits is the construction is a little bit different in them. You'll actually have this kind of weird middle piece here that's designed to make the assembly a lot stronger, and attach some of the finer accessories like the side skirts here and the fans for the engine exhaust system or radiator system on the back of the tank there. And then that goes onto the hull there, and then you've got a rear plate there that then matches up in. And that's all designed to snap together pretty well, and it will, and make it nice and solid. And as for the turret, pretty standard assembly. Basically just slide one piece into the frame that you actually glue to the turret, and then you put the mantlet over the top of that, and that basically locks that into place. It'll be able to freely elevate and depress. And then you basically glue that to the turret, or you don't even need to glue it basically because of the snap fitting arrangement. A few little accessories there like the smoke launcher, the cupola, and then you basically just put that in. It's pretty standard for a 70-second scale kit where you just basically line up the pegs and then you rotate the turret and it will be locked onto the hull. So yeah, instructions are pretty easy to follow there. One bad thing about the Zvezda instructions is the painting guide. However, being a German tank, it's pretty easy. There's not too many decals that you've got to put on. There's basically two different options here, and they're pretty much identical. And it's just your standard dark yellow undercoat with green, and I think there's a little bit of the red color for the camouflage pattern, which would have been pretty messily applied and not very standard if it was done in the field. Pretty nice instructions there, except for the painting guide, but lucky in this kit, it's not too complex. And here we've got our actual plastic sprues. So starting out with the hull, which is basically, it comes as its own piece, as you can see. There's really, it's quite well molded. There's not any kind of flash, and all the details are really quite sharp and they're not distorted. And you can kind of see where all of the holes are to line up to put the arms for the suspension in place for the road wheels. A few of the axis panels on the underside are molded in there, so they're quite nicely detailed there. But nothing too advanced, and you can see here the little points that are designed to click when you put the upper piece in place. So as you can see, you basically just use a little bit of pressure and that will click together, and it's not really going anywhere, and it's a bit tricky to actually unclick it. Right, that ain't gonna budge. It's actually living up to its name of being a snap fit kit, so that gives you an idea of how solid the larger parts go together. Having a look at the parts here, you can see there's some nice details, and this is how the road wheels come assembled. So this is all one part, which makes it a lot simpler for assembly. And as you can see, similar to the hull, the details are really nicely molded. There's no flashing or any imperfections, and it's quite nicely detailed, especially considering that it's all one piece rather than the individual road wheels, and you still get that level of detail. Other parts are pretty nicely done, like you've got the sprocket wheels there. They're quite nicely detailed, although the way they're put into the sprue, there's a lot of pressure on the arms leading out, which might break them if you cut them off, but otherwise the details are really nice. You've got a lot of the finer parts here, which are really nicely molded. There's no imperfections and no flashing, like I said, especially good for a simple kit like this one. Nice details on the final drive assembly. You've got your cupola here, which has basically nothing for the vision slits. It's basically going to be see-through, so you might want to put a little bit of clear plastic or something in place. But it's still really nicely detailed. You've got all the details on the hatch there. The exhausts, there's even some holes for the exhaust there, which is really quite nice. You don't get that a lot. Here's the gun barrel there, and I've just broken it off, that's okay. That gives us a closer look at it. So you can see the gun barrel there. The muzzle brake is not badly done. You don't have an actual hole there for the barrel itself, but you do have the muzzle brake quite nicely detailed. There's a tiny bit of a seam line along there, but that's pretty normal for these kind of parts, and you can pretty easily clean that up, so that's quite nice. Side skirts there, they're relatively thick, but that's pretty standard, again, for most kits in the scale. Nice details on the towing rope there. And yeah, we'll move on to the other sprue here, which has the upper hull, or the entire pretty much upper surface of the hull on the front there. As you can see, they've molded in the welding marks on this kit, which is really quite nicely done. The driver's vision slit is molded onto the front glacis there, so you can't remove it, but that's okay. They've done a really nice job with the details. Again, nice details on the roof here too for the various access hatches for the engine, the radiator covers, and the front hatches there and that little plate there. Really nicely done with those rivets and all of that. On the side here, you've got some nice frames molded in for the tools. You've even got some nice weld marks there for the parts there, so that's really quite nice detail. And yeah, a couple of the individual road wheels that are designed to actually lock the track in place. If you see on the underside here, you've got the a couple of little holes there, or we've got a natural little pin that sticks out, and that's designed to lock the track into position. Another little set of road wheels there, nicely molded again. It's all really quite nice. Rear plate there for the back of the tank on the hull. And yeah, really nice details molded in again. Here's the turret, which is just the well, the roof and the sides of the turret there. Again, really nicely done. You've got all the little welding lines and details there, which are really good. And yeah, here's your front mantlet there, and you've got all of your sights drilled out and your machine gun point there. And yeah, they've done a little bit of, I don't think they've done any texturing on the mantlet there, but it still looks really quite nice, and it's good that they've drilled out the holes there. So yeah, as you can see, quality's pretty good. And these are the tracks. So as you can see, they've got these little kind of guide pins. These are larger ones as opposed to the small scaled ones just here. With those holes there, and that's designed to link to the road wheels so that they will lock the track into place, which makes it really quite nice and solid. And then these tracks are relatively flexible, and when you bend them, they'll kind of hold their shape. They're, like I said, really quite fiddly, but once you get them right, they will be quite strong. So yeah, that's a pretty decent kit there. Then you've got your decals here, nothing too amazing. You've just got your Balkan cuts, and then the two different sets of numbers for the different tanks that are available. And the quality of decals for Zvezda kits tends to be really quite good. It retails for around about $20, which is pretty decent for a 72nd scale tank, especially one of the size of the Panther. And it goes together pretty well. So it's ideal for beginners and also wargamers. So if you're going to make a lot of them, it's definitely good for wargaming, especially because it's so tough once you actually build it. You're not going to damage it very easily in transit. Details are still pretty good, so if you want an Alstrong D, this is a very good kit to go with. I don't think there are too many other ones, in fact, on the market that are of the earlier Panther. But yeah, so that's a general overview of the D. Now let's have a little look at the Vespid Panther, which is a completely different game.